Welcome back, Pioneer fans, to your final game of the NACE Star League regular season. I am your caster Kaizen. I'm here with Princess Ari.
Hello, hello.
And for those of you joining us from Northern Kentucky University, welcome to the stream. We hope to see a good game from both the Pioneers and Northern Kentucky today. And I'm excited. This is the very last game, at least for the Point Park Pioneers, in the season before we officially transition over the weekend to CVAL.
CVAL, that's right, and that's going to be starting on Saturday, and that's going to be every Saturday, I believe. There might be some Sunday games scattered in, so make sure to keep up with the social medias to follow Point Park Esports schedule and make sure you don't miss a single game.
Exactly. And while we're talking about social media, we do have a new TikTok page that you guys should all check out for some exciting behind the scenes content coming up. But that's enough about us. Let's talk about this matchup we have today, Ari.
Right. So, coming in here today, NKU has not won a single game yet. And, Point Park, this kind of is a familiar realm.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not too long ago where they got their first win against Flint. So it's going to be interesting here to see, who comes out on top. Statistically, we say that Point Park should come out on top here, but they did fall last week,
Mm-hmm.
even though the statistics were in their favor then. So it's really
Yeah.
about who's going to play the game better today.
Well, exactly. And, going back, those of you who are not with us last week, Point Park had a very, very exciting game against Highlands Community College. Two games actually went 9-13, one for Highlands and one for Point Park. So it all really came down to that map to Ascent that went into overtime. Eventually, Highlands Community College did take the map and therefore the series. So again, like we said, these teams are all pretty close. Their records are pretty close, and yes, Point Park does have a few wins under their belt that Northern Kentucky University doesn't. However, that doesn't mean they're a bad team, and we'll have to see in this matchup how they play against each other.
Right, and a special thing for today is you can see that Sunseri is not right there. That is Ado Smooth, who's going to be subbing in for today, and he's going to be subbing in for the first map, which is going to be split. And what do you think of this map, Kai?
Well, I mean, we did see Split last week. Unfortunately, did not go the way the Pioneers would have decided. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bind going up for the Pioneers on their map pick. Of course, again, we're seeing the picks coming in. We never see the bans really, so we don't know who's banning which map. But this might be a little bit uncomfortable for the Pioneers just because last week this is one map that kind of took them out of the playoffs, really.
Right, yeah, and we talk about maybe some weaknesses, but definitely bind with that strength. And I wouldn't be surprised if this decider is Sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't necessarily know what the bans are, so if NKU is not comfortable with Sunset, they're going to ban that right off the map. But as we did say, it is going to be bind for map 2. We're not missing a beat there. We got that one right.
And I mean, if things go again statistically how they should, whether or not the Pioneers win map 1, they should win map 2. This has been their strongest one, at least this season. Again, we have Split now. We don't have that duelist in Sunseri. We do have a sub in right now.
Hmm.
And I personally have not gotten a chance to see them play as a team of all 5. Oh, but it looks like right now we're getting that decider coming in.
Ascent.
It is Ascent. Now, again, these are the same 3 maps that the Pioneers played last week.
Hmm.
Now, if Northern Kentucky puts up any sort of fight at all, this could mean bad news for the Pioneers, and this could give Northern Kentucky University their first win of the NACE Star League season.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You're talking about maybe a map combination that Point Park has some PTSD for. Some maps haven't gone super well. We talked about Ascent still being on that 0% win rate. Haven't won that map just quite yet. But Bind definitely confident, and I think this goes back to what we said last week, which is if Point Park wants to win this game, they have to steal their opponent's map choice.
Exactly, exactly. We said this last week, and we've said this the past couple of weeks. Point Park, at least what we've noticed, and again, we've had the privilege of watching the Pioneers playoff season. Have not had that privilege of watching Northern Kentucky University, but it does seem to us, at least here on the analyst desk, that the Pioneers do sort of have a fatigue issue that they've really been getting better at dealing with all season. But again, once it gets to that map 3, you really just see the tiredness on those players and the fatigue in their games and their decision making. And I know it's hard for any player, in any team really, but it does seem that the Pioneers do have that third map hurdle they need to work through a little bit.
Right, and I do want to talk about with this sub in Ado Smooth here today. I did sub in for a scrim this
That's
past
right. You were
few
saying this last
right.
week.
And so I I didn't do super great, okay? I'm not gonna lie. But I didn't bottom frag, which was my personal goal, right? I don't want
You
to
know what?
be
That's always my goal.
right. I mean, I was playing, I was filling in for Aaron Sunseri, and I did, probably didn't do as well as Aaron did. We fell just a little bit short in the scrims, but with Ado Smooth there, I think this game is going to be a possible win, and I think they're going to be at full capacity for this roster.
And we're seeing there on Creep's face again. I don't know if you guys could hear through the door. I know sometimes we can, but Creep looks really excited about something, and we do see those picks and bans coming in, and it looks like it might be in their favor. I'd love to know what they're talking about right now, but I'm sure we'll see when we're getting in game exactly what has made them just so incredibly comfortable. But I think it has to do with that map too. Now we did say, going back to saying that the Pioneers do need to kind of win that first map, or their opponent's map, to kind of secure the series. I think if the Pioneers are able to win map 1 on split, they should have no problem on Bind.
And that's right. Last week we talked about how the nail biter was going to be map 2. Now it's map 1. So
Mm-hmm.
all kind of stakes, if you want to consider them, are going to be on this first map. It's going to be nerve wracking, or nail biting. I combined them.
A little mix of
Oh
both,
well.
nerve wracking and nail biting.
But right on this first map, right at the beginning.
I mean, certainly. Now, Ari, as you said, you did have the pleasure of scrimming with them, and you did get to play a little bit with Ado Smooth. Now, will they be filling in that duelist role?
So I did not play with Ado Smooth. I played with the rest of the team. Ado was
Oh,
unfortunately not
okay,
there
okay.
to fill in, but Ado Smooth is a better player than I am, and I trust that he's gonna do great. We played on Sunset in scrims,
Mm.
so you're playing. You have me playing on a role I don't play on a map I don't play, but that's okay because I believe in the Point Park gamers, and I believe that NKU could also pick up their first win here. I think it's very evenly matched, and I think we're in for a good time today.
I mean, I'm certainly excited. Like you said, a new player is getting the chance to kind of shine here, and we'll have to see what that means for the Point Park Pioneers as far as their synergy goes. Um, that's how I wear my
Yeah.
headset too.
I don't know if he can hear super well.
Don't need to hear if you're just better.
That's true. He has Sunseri, just
Hmm.
going through his thoughts right now,
Yeah,
saying, "Hey,
exactly.
win
Telepathically.
this game for
Sunseri
me."
might not be here in the building, but telepathically and spiritually is with the team.
It's like the Lion King, right? Mufasa. No. Anyway, but you can see there also Mona, one of the other subs, kind of for the team, just enjoying being here, and as we are too. And we hope you guys are at home as we're going to be hopping in to this first map, which is going to be split. And this is the big map of the day.
I mean, this is, as you said, the map of the day. Now we are kind of just seeing those agents. Only one's locked in, but that is a familiar lineup we see there from the Pioneers, and of course we welcome Ado Smooth in that duelist role there on the Rays.
Right. I mean, we see this typical point park comp. They're not exactly locked in yet, but we know, as we've seen past broadcasts, it's the same old, same old. And you have to wonder if NKU does know that this is what Point Park's comp running. Have they done their research? Have they tried to play some anti-strats and figure out how can we counter this strong Point Park
Mhm.
attack?
Certainly. Now, as we kind of see these agents being locked in, a very similar comp, of course, on the side of NKU, we have ISO there on that Killjoy, and of course, we see Cursed on that very comfortable pick with the Cypher going through. But I'm curious to see kind of what NKU has to bring. Remember, this is our first chance at really seeing how NKU plays, and just because they haven't had a series on the board yet does not mean they're not a good university and tough opponent. So I think that's just something to remember, that you can't really count your opponents out. I mean, it wasn't that far in the past that really Point Park didn't have a point on the board either.
And did you know that today? So we actually got like a new shipment of Red
Oh
Bull,
yes,
and there's like a new design on here.
oh yes, this is the Formula One drivers, the Red Bull team. It's Max
Huh.
Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Fun fact, actually, Red Bull right now, because of Max Verstappen, kind of has secured the Constructors' Cup, meaning that
Huh.
even though there's still some races left in the season, Red Bull's going to come out on top. And also, Max Verstappen with this last race actually has secured the championship.
Wow.
So, good drivers. Glad we're sponsored by a good team. Hopefully, that means good things coming here for the Pioneers, of course, if you're a fan. Now, if you are an NKU fan, you're probably saying that doesn't mean anything. That's just a can design.
Well, it may be a can design, but it's the can design of winners, at least in Formula One. And one of these teams today is going to be coming out on top. And that's why we're here to watch and figure out and see who it is.
Now, at least as far as the Pioneer side, what the player I'd like to kind of keep an eye on right now today is Celsi on that sky. Last week, lots of great flashes and plays from Celsi, so that's kind of someone I'm keeping my eye on coming into this next week.
Right, and we know we talked a little bit about Sun Celsi last week, and maybe we can see a little bit of
Smooth Celsi?
a smooth Celsi. Yeah, yeah, the same
Ado Celsi?
Ado Celsi. Sure, sounds like a seltzer almost.
Kind of.
Kind of. Anyway, so we're gonna be hopping into this first round here, and it looks like Clark's gonna be taking first contact, gets the first pick onto ISO ESO. I don't know which one we're gonna be calling that today. Do we think it's after the new agent,
Well,
which
you
is
know what?
ISO?
I was just going to ask you that. Now, if it is not, do you think it looks like they might be comfortable in that Sentinel agent? Do you think they're going to be switching to a duelist role
That's
for an agent
true.
of their
That's a
same
good
name?
prediction. That's a very, very good prediction. And that's why you're casting here. And Curse is playing, but unfortunately Curse goes down, and now it's up to Clark in having to get Pyro, but not so fast. Now it's a 2v4 retake, 4-point park. The Boombot's going to spot out both players. So now it's up to them. Can they figure out a way to somehow take these sheriffs, take these pistols, and somehow claim the site here? Would the dog be able to get a pick? No, because do you know the dog can get a damage, but Ados move with the pick, and that's the damage there. But now it's just down to Celsi in a 1v3 with only a Prime Classic. With the shots there, and not quite AU. Going to be taken out the first round for NKU.
And again, you know what? That is that pistol round, and like we've said, that's something that we need to keep an eye on for the Pioneers. They have sort of this rough go at the pistol rounds. I'm not sure. Again, we've talked about, is it a mental thing? Is it a mechanical thing? What can they do to kind of work on that? But again, that's not something we don't always see.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as much as any team would like, you definitely want to win those pistol rounds. I mean, I know that's a constant thing that you hear from pretty much any broadcast at any level of gameplay for Valorant, but a win is a win, especially if it's a big turn round like the first one of the day. But now there's just fighting in mid, and it looks like NKU is coming out on top, but a few guns down for Point Park, so not all is lost there. Maybe the round is, but you do a lot of damage as you can really there. And now Creep is just trying to maybe get one more. I mean, obviously he wants to secure the round, but the question is it possible, Kai?
I mean, we've seen it before from Creep, and we've seen it before from really all the Pioneers. They do a great job on the second pistol round where they're on that light buy. Now, there should be some guns that are recoverable, like we just saw now Creep with the Spectre. And it has quite a bit of health. But again, it's going back to what we said about really wanting to secure those pistol rounds. Creep would not have had to be in this situation if they had that gun advantage. Now, again, did a great job. 2 offline. It's a 1v3 now for Creep. Anything's possible, but the bomb is now down.
I was going to say, this time is ticking, and it's ticking fast. I think Creep might just be playing exits here, trying to get maybe a few picks on the way out. Does find the timing, but not the pick quite yet, and is going to be able to get the first, but not the next. So, not the worst situation if you're Point Park there. Creep seems like he's happy with that round, and let's hope the Pioneers are ready to bounce back when they buy their guns here.
Yeah, and I mean, why wouldn't you be happy with that. That's 3 guns that they cannot bring into the next round. And, that is kind of a tough kind of battle you don't normally have. The shields, you don't have the guns. Um, so again, should not be feeling too bad. And I'm glad to see they're not too concerned being down 2, because that means going into this bye round, they should have a better idea. And you're already seeing what that economy damage did there to NKU. We see some sheriffs. I think I saw Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, secure this round, typically, the previous round you want to save as many guns as you can. But now it's about basically the same situation, but in reverse for NKU. They want to do as much damage as they can, and Pyro is not going to be able to do that, as Selzy has his gun trained on his head.
Exactly, and you know what? That's what those nicer guns, the more expensive guns, allow you to do. Now, it did look like NKU was able to get a little bit of damage there on Ado Smooth, but again, when you have a player like Selzy on that Sky, you're able to heal right up, so all that damage is kind of negated. Now, of course, a little bit of damage there on Selzy himself. Can't really heal himself, but it doesn't matter because you still have that numbers advantage, you still have that health advantage, you still have that guns advantage.
Right. As much as a Spectre can do, it's not going to be a one-shot to the head. Now, of course, a Sheriff could be from a closer range, so that is, a big tick of, even just 5 damage, which is really, really big because that creates the maximum fall off. But Cursed finds 1, and now it's looking a little bit rough for NKU. You have maybe a few guns, I'm not entirely sure. Yep, AU with that Bulldog is going to be able to trade out Clark. So not all is lost here, but the time is really running low for NKU. The spike is down as well, so now AU has to kind of just sprint to the site, and Creep, I think, knows that the bomb can't get down in time, and yep, he doesn't know, but there's no way that Cursed is going down here, and that's a round win for Point Park. An expensive one.
An expensive one, and really, that was kind of a nail-biting one for the Pioneers, at the end there. Of course, time did run out because they were able to get the spike carrier, and of course, always something you want to do, but, they were down the numbers in the end, and it all really came down to Curse not being in a position to really be found before the timer ran out, but that is not how you want to see your gun round go.
Right, I mean, you are kind of broke, and
you're very broke. You're bringing 1 rifle into the next round.
So, I mean, the question is, I don't exactly remember who was just shown with this rifle, but Ado's move out with a shorty, and that's not going to be super great for long range, but does spot 1. And Selzy is going to be able to get that orb. So, that is a win condition for this round. If Point Park finds themselves up in numbers, you definitely want to see that all get popped. And I know we see, we kind of call it the EG strat, where you pop ults on eco rounds to do as much damage as you possibly can for as cheap as possible. Yes, an ult is expensive, but if you're confident that you can take out the enemy team with your guns, who needs the ults in the first place?
Well, exactly, and I mean, I think a lot of times, Ultimates, a lot of teams like to wait until they are in that advantageous position. If you're already in an advantageous position, you don't really need the Ultimates as much. So a lot of times, that Ultimate is going to be the decider. Now, a lot of shots there in Heaven. Unfortunately, for the Pioneers, only able to get one of NKU Esports offline, and that is that Pyro and the Raze. What did not clear out Curse. Curse got 1, but Cerbersu gets 1 right back. It's now, again, a 1v3 where we've seen this before, of course, round 2.
Ouch.
And that is going to be Ado Smooth. And that is another run on the board for NKU Esports.
I mean, similar to rounds 2 and 3. Again, not really your full gun versus gun round. So you kind of expect that to happen, but, it's not always enjoyable to see. As much as a game may be, I feel like a game would be boring if it's just, well, we know what's going to happen the entire time because it's supposed to be this way because this person has the better gun. And that's, that's why we play the game. That's what we say. Is, the better guns aren't always the round win.
Exactly. I mean, and we've seen that even just this map alone. We're coming into this 5th round. Pioneers have 1 point on the board.
I mean, I would honestly, from Cursed here, I kind of want to see him maybe play a little bit back with this setup. I've noticed with Cursed's cameras, it's always in a position to get shot right off the bat, and that's the only problem is if you get shot right off the bat, you don't have information until that cam comes online. And so you're not going to know
Mm-hmm.
how many people are in main. And of course, you're going to have an idea as this KJ ult is popped, but there's only so much you can do here, and the util combo is going to take Curse down. Absolutely beautiful util from NKU, and they take the numbers advantage going into this next fight.
Yeah, no, this is about to be a 3v5 retake, and we have that IU on that Sky for the other team. Going to be able to heal up their opponents in that Viper's Pit coming out. Lots of ultimates invested, and it's going to be tough for Point Park. They're going to be able to get one. Did get that Viper, but in the end, just not much you can do when you're in that much of a numbers disadvantage. And again, that 5th round going to NKU Esports.
I mean, as much as we see kind of these fights going down, that are semi-close, it feels like the rounds are kind of being taken just relatively easily. And I won't say it's for Point Park or for NKU. I just feel like whoever wins the round is winning these rounds pretty handily. And I don't know if that's just maybe some brain work going on there, or what entirely is the situation.
And I mean, it's hard to really make this case right now as we go into round 6. Pioneers down 1-4, but could this be another case of two pretty evenly matched teams? And again, this was the map that Pioneers fell on last week.
Right. I mean, we saw before that against, I believe it was Converse, they went down 7-0, and so, ooh, Pyro getting 3 that he probably shouldn't have. That trade most likely could have been there, but I don't think the shots landed. Clark does find a shot, though, but it's a dire situation for Point Park. He's happy that he gets 1 down, but is he going to be able to get a second? Spots the second and shoots the third. Doesn't shoot the second, but hey, if I'm Clark, I'm taking that one. And now it's a 2v3. Now this is a lot more winnable. And these ults are available if they do so feel. It is dangerous to invest them, but maybe you want to try and bait out something from NKU here.
Well, now there are 2 members offline. If they're able to recover 2 guns, those 2 ultimates are not bad, especially when you have that Cypher ultimate on board. You'll know exactly where those 3 remaining players are. Now, Bomb is going to go down, and it looks like they're not electing to use the ult just yet. I don't blame them. Still in that gun disadvantage, but going to look. Now, Sheriff is not a bad gun if you have it, but shots are just not going to land. And unfortunately for the Pioneers, that is another round off the table. However, given the gun disadvantage they were in, I think getting 2 offline, very good. And we are about to see a timeout coming in place, and very well timed as the Pioneers are coming into their bye round.
Right. I mean, if you're Point Park here, you're thinking, wow, we're kind of starting out a little bit slow. But it's just really, really strange. This game feels off to me. The vibes seem off.
The vibes do seem off. I can't disagree with you there.
We're not seeing super flashy plays. We're not seeing anything really, I feel like there's no plays being made. I feel like it's kind of just, all right, who's going to shoot their bullets first?
Well, and I mean, I don't necessarily want to say that the rest of the team isn't doing great, but a lot of times we've seen that the Pioneers have that slower start, and it's normally Sunseri who kind of has a monster round that really gives them that momentum. And so I think without Sunseri here and the rest of the team who typically don't do that, it is going to fall to Eidos Move to kind of do that, be a little bit more aggressive, make some monster plays. And if it's not Eidos Move, I think another one of the Pioneers really need to step up and do that. I think it could be Clark, especially if they're those Sheriff shots in the last round. But that kind of is what we start to see at the beginning, is that they do have the slower start. And Sunseri just kind of runs in or flanks in, does some sort of crazy move, and then they really start putting it together. And I think that's what we're missing.
I think it all starts with taking down this Sky. I mean, NKU's Sky has not died a single time yet. They are 10-0. So if you're Point Park, you must be thinking they're doing something right. So maybe you focus a little bit more on them and just get that target off their back. But now, this crossfire kind of just being held. Ado jiggling, Clark with the reswing for when the information is gathered, and I believe one was spotted. So now it's up to Clark. Is Clark aware of the cross? Finds the second one, but is he aware that the first one is already up? This is where it gets scary. This is where Valorant becomes a horror game. And it's not about shooting people in the head. It's about are you wise enough to know where the players are that they might have snuck past you?
And it looks like calls are being made to kind of push off and wait for rotates from your teammates to come in. A wise call for the Pioneers. And that, that's another thing I think they need to start doing, and that is just unfortunate. Clark falling to Pyro's ultimate there. And, that always feels bad, but not much you can do.
I think that might be some poor communication there.
I think so as well.
I mean, you have to imagine that Clark could hear that Raze ult coming up the ramp, and you did see the Seekers following with that as well. So maybe just not enough info of, hey, Raze is coming up ramp here, watch out. And maybe they didn't back up far enough.
And you know what? There were two of them there. Unfortunately, it was Clark who did fall.
Clark's probably thinking, oh, you're baiting me. What the heck, bro? But IU just seems to be having the game of his life here and has not continued to go down, although may have been on 8 HP there, so a little bit close. But the rounds are still there, the kills are still there, and that's all you can really hope for if you're NKU right now.
Now, we did talk about what might be some win conditions for the Pioneers, but again, NKU, we haven't seen them play before. This is, this could potentially be their first series win, and what may be a win condition for NKU might be IU on that sky not dying.
My worry here is that, Point Park might be confident on their choice of bind, but if the morale is not super, super great going into map 2, I could see probably another slow start there, especially if the pistol rounds don't go their way.
And we've seen that with the Pioneers before, how sometimes their mental kind of drips into the game, which is only natural. But sometimes the Pioneers do have that harder time of kind of getting that mental back in check. And that is something that's troublesome going into the second map for them.
Cerberus. It's a play on word for Cerberus, the three-headed dog from Greek mythology. And Celsi has got that dog in him as he takes out IU for the first time this game. IU going down. And now Clark trying to find one of his own. And Cursed trying to land the shots, but Cerberus right on that one and going to be able to take him out. But Clark's landing the shots today. Clark doesn't need a big old Vandal gun. He just needs to shoot the players and they go down. And Ado finding the ult there to connect, making that second round on the board for Point Park. That's what you love to see, a thrifty from them.
You do love to see that, and you can see the smiles on their faces. They're back in this game, at least as far as their mentality goes. Look at that smile. That is Creep you're seeing on screen now. That is the Pioneers IGL. Those of you who aren't as familiar with Valorant, that does stand for in-game leader. And you can see his notebook full of strats there right on his left side. Hopefully some of those are coming out if you're a Pioneers fan. Because that is a second round on the board, but look at the economy of NKU right now.
And I'm gonna call it now. I don't think this round. Oh wait, no, actually, I think I'm gonna see a Clark Viper ultimate. Yep, right here. It's gonna be B main, and that's gonna stop that push, and that's gonna, keep Point Park. They're gonna be going a 1-2-2 here because they trust Clark with this Viper pit to lock off B main here.
Now I do love this Viper pit. Now again, we have seen this pit previously, and a couple times, I believe, most notably on A, but I think it did happen one time on the B site where Clark just kind of missed someone coming in, and of course didn't get as much util after. But that pit looks like it is going to kind of push them back, and it looks like it is going to be a mid hit now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're NKU here, I think this is a really smart play, because what happens is you know that there is one player in B main that is the Viper. You know that. And you know it's typically that if B's locked down, A's going to have the Sentinel. And you don't want to run into the Sentinel. So what do you do then? Go mid, because it's not going to have your two biggest problems. Of course, that's where the most amount of players are going to be for Point Park, as they do manage to get the first pick of this round. And that's going to be turning the tables a little bit.
That is going to be turning the tables. Now, they did know that bomb went down, but that was a beautifully placed smoke there by the Astar. They were able to recover that bomb, and it looks like as time's ticking down, NKU still struggling to find a way on site. It looks like this is going to be a rotate over towards the A side through sewers. Of course, Curse there has that Sentinel set up, is going to be able to let their teammates know, but an Astra ult coming out from NKU is going to allow them to get on to site. That Curse doing as much as he can to stop, but Pyro's going to be right there.
I was going to say that timing is going to be really huge from Creep, but he only manages to get one. So now 2 players are spotted, both known on site for NKU, and Ado is going to be able to find the first one, but the turret picking up Selzy, and it becomes a 1v1, but Clark's not there to land the shots, and ISO going to be able to pick up that clutch and that round for NKU.
Yeah, nice try there by the Pioneers. That was a couple of ultimates came out that round, and I think they were all good. That ultimate there from Clark at the beginning forced them towards mid. Pioneers were able to get that first push, but then Plasma Rick with that Astra ult allowed them to get on site. Cursed tried his hardest to kind of keep them off, but not much you can do when you're the only one on site. And that wall's there preventing any trades coming from heaven or, as your teammates rotate in. And just kind of was a little bit too hard to deal with. And then, of course, ISO with that turret, which does a lot of damage if you don't deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, in that scenario, it wasn't necessarily paired with an alarm bot, but if you do see it paired with an alarm bot, that is 6, 12, 18 times 2 damage every few seconds, and somebody's got to shoot that turret. But if it's your duelist, you can't turn to go and look at it, so it's a really big stopping power for pushes, especially when paired with those nano swarms as well.
Well, yeah, and I mean, especially when you talk about that Astra ult going in, not a lot of sight or visibility on where you need to go. So as you're pushing, there's players, there's utility. It's a lot to do with. But Ado's move with that Sheriff going to get one, and as trades start to come in, it's a 4v2 here.
And I'm curious here, if Point Park secures this round, this could be a thrifty, I believe.
This would be another thrifty for them. That last round I think they won was a thrifty, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And Pioneers seem to shine on that thrifty. Again, they do really well on their second pistol rounds, not always able to recover it. I don't know if it's just, they know they're on the lighter gun and have a worse chance, so they're more aggressive. And maybe that's what they need to start doing on their buy rounds.
Right. I mean, if Point Park played like they do on their second pistol round after they lose one, I could see them winning the game very, very consistently. But they seem either afraid or kind of scared, or I don't know. The shots don't really land on their gun rounds, and maybe that's just because something's not quite right.
Yeah, I mean, they do so great on these light buys, and unfortunately, they're not able to translate that same aggression, that same drive into their buy rounds. Maybe they feel a little bit more safe or secure, don't want to lose those guns because, as we said, economy buildup is so important in this game, but they need to start playing more aggressively or in positions where they can be traded or at least making some sort of plays. I know holding site is important, but if you're not going to aggressively push, then you need to make sure you're always in a position where you can be traded if you're going to hold site, and you need to make sure you're holding site. And it looks like this call was made to be a little bit more aggressive here outside B. It's now a 2v2. Shots are going to come in, but Plasma Rick, 2 beautiful shots there. It's all down to Cursed, and it looks like they have a pretty free sight. They know exactly where Cursed is. They're on Heaven. Plant's going to start coming down. Ooh. Shots are being fired, and everyone is so low except for, who is it? IU on that Sky.
Yeah, I mean, IU being an absolute, whatever you want to call the monster on the court, a demon on the field. I mean, I guess demon is the correct term, as we are in Valorant, and Demon 1 is the best duelist in the game. So, we'll call him a demon today. And IU is doing just that. 15-3, 8-3 when it comes to rounds in favor of NKU. If you're Point Park, you're looking at trying to secure this round and winning this next pistol. Because if it goes anything lower than, if it goes 10-4, it's looking really rough.
It is. Now, historically, we have seen the Pioneers kind of struggle a little bit on the split. But again, I don't know that we've seen them play this, I don't want to say badly, but struggle this much, especially against one specific player. Now, we don't know exactly what the map breakdown has been for NKU, but I'm just curious as we come in, and that was beautiful. Curious as we come in with a player like IU, why they haven't been able to get around on the board yet, because they seem to be playing with good communication and good plays. IU going to hunt down Clark there and find it. It's now a 4v4, but shots coming out from Pyro. and Cerbersu, and that's going to be
Yeah.
a really, really quick round there at the end there for NKU.
I mean, I don't want to bash Point Park for their util usage there, but there definitely could have been some maybe better timings. You know, if you see that this Viper ult's online and it is the last round, you know, their
Mm-hmm.
chances are they're probably going to use it. So maybe you want to wait to use those Sky Seekers until those players are in their post plant positions where you can follow up those Sky Seekers and spam when they are broken and locating players. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you manage to get that right timing, you're going to be able to find some spam kills. And the same goes for that Killjoy ultimate and Clark there.
Mm-hmm.
If you can stall your mollies just a little bit more to around 4 seconds, because that's typically when teams start to push in through those KJ ults. If you stall it and you pop that molly, you know, maybe the Raze gets out on site, but everyone else is still stalled from that molly, and you have time to maybe retake before everyone gets on site,
Yep.
and you have that 4v1 advantage.
Now, as we move into the second half, remember this is NKU's map pick, so that means Point Park Esports did get to choose their choosing side, or starting side, excuse me. And they did choose to start on defense, but Eidos move with the Ghost going to be able to hunt down IU, which might be a win condition for Point Park, like we said. But again, they've been having trouble on these
Ooh.
pistol rounds. Shots are coming back and forth. Now, 3v2 in favor of NKU.
Oh my gosh, Isho is going crazy there. It does a crap ton of damage to both, I believe it was Creep and Clark there. So that was 3 kills plus 2 headshots. And yeah, Cerbersu's going to clean that one up with the shorty. Yeah, Isho went crazy there.
ISO did go crazy. What we thought might have been a win condition for Pioneers finally to get a pistol round on the board. ISO said, IU's not the only player on our team that can go absolutely crazy. Give me a turn. And that they did very, very hard to deal with. And again, you know, it's really hard to comment on this because we have seen Pioneers really, really struggle with those pistol rounds.
Right. I mean, now here's the question is, does Point Park play like they normally do on the round 2?
Well, I don't know because they forced up. Did you see that? They all have stingers.
They have stingers.
They
Oh,
have
I kind of
stingers.
like this. I kind of like this call. Is it going to go with their favor? Well, at least the
It
first
looks-
pick does. And now the paint shells, the util, everyone's running in, but Pyro is going to be able to find one. Cursed with the trade, and IU's just swinging this without a care in the world and gets value for it, gets creep, and those smokes are going down. Clark finding one, Clark getting traded, and it's a 2v2, but Spike is in heaven. So that is really, really big if you're NKU, especially on a force-up round from Point Park. You have all of the information in the world, and IU taking out another one. Selzy going down there as well. And if you're cursed, well, if you're IU, you know that the cross has already been there, and ISO there to clean up that round. So now it's looking really, really rough for Point Park as your force is down the drain as well.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Point Park, they did force up there, which means what would typically be their buy round is not going to be, and you know, it's struggling to put a round on the board. It's now 3-11. If they lose this one, it's now match point.
Yeah, I mean,
And they've really been struggling on this map. I don't know if it's just they haven't played enough. The 5 of them, now that Sunseri's
Right.
not here. And it could just be a communication or synergy, you know, issue. It could just be NKU's having a crazy game. They haven't been able to put one series up on the board yet, but you know, this could be their first, and they definitely want it. This is the last game in the NACE regular season, and oh, they want so badly to have at least one win under their belt.
I mean, right. If you're NKU here, maybe either if Point Park maybe underestimated them or NKU, this might just be their map. You know, nobody really knows because we don't have access to kind of the statistics for NKU, but Point Park maybe not the best on this one. The combination of NKU being really great on this one could be this result of this match here.
I mean, there's a lot of speculation that we can have. Of course, as we go into bind, maybe we'll have a better idea. Is it the playstyles? Is it, you know, NKU having a great game? Is it just they're missing Sunseri? But it looks like as the time starts ticking down, it looks like this is going to be a B hit. But Cerbersu gets one down, but Creep right there with the trade. It's still 4v4, but only 25 seconds left in the round.
And you can see this is kind of like a semi-force here, as Creep does use the Marshal to pick up this first one right off the bat. But time is running low, and guns are in favor of NKU, and there go the picks, and yeah, it's a rough one there.
Yeah.
As Team Ace to clean up that round.
No, that was hard. A Curse had a beautiful flank there, but unfortunately, with that weaker gun and just not quite finding the heads he needed, that round is going to go to NKU, and that is match point now. And Pioneers with only 3 on the board.
I mean, if you're Point Park, remember, it's do or die here. So the force is here, all guns on the board, but look at that, no full shields here, and this Odin is going to shred through the lower amounts of health that Point Park has here. And IU going for the same kind of flash on A that we've seen multiple rounds now, and this is a Point Park special here with this Viper wall up. You know, there's a lurk, it's a contact prevents, they cut noise, but it looks like they got 2 here, so the call's just going to be to hit the site most likely, but already 2 players still there. There's 1 in spawn, 1 on site still, and ISO finding 1, but the trade's there. Creep going to be securing that one, and now it's up to Curse to try and get this pick onto this Raze here. It does manage to get it, so a 3v1 scenario for Point Park. That Trip is going to do a great job of letting the players know his events, but he actually sneaks past it. Although I do think he broke it. So sees the Odin. Now he's aware. The Molly going to come out, force out the swing. Cerbersu, smart, playing that very, very well. Is Cerbersu in for the 2v1 clutch here?
I mean, I think if you're NKU, you don't really have a whole lot to lose. I mean, look,
Right.
you're up by 9 rounds, of course. Just going to be spamming with that Odin, but Creep with the Vandal's going to be able to swing out and finish that off. And that's another round on the board for the Pioneers. Now, I would not be surprised if we see a couple more rounds from the Pioneers, because now that they're in that match point, they kind of are back into that desperation where I think they really kind of thrive under that pressure.
Right, and I believe here that NKU is going to be on somewhat of a weaker buy here. So, you know, you're assuming that NKU is going to drop this round, but we've seen a lot from these players on NKU today. IU having the game of his life, 19, 5, and 13, doing absolutely crazy. And, you know, this round could go either way.
It absolutely can. Now, it looks like this is pointed towards a B hit, but very much aggressive there coming up from NKU. But again, on those weaker guns, you have to be aggressive, but their shots are just not finding the value they need. Point Park Esports have that man advantage 4-2, and it looks like a rotation is going to be called, but NKU knows that, already kind of making their way over as well.
And, you know, the numbers in favor of Point Park, ultimates as well. It should be okay for Point Park here, especially with NKU maybe definitely taking some damage there on the spam, and Cursed I think will be able to find this timing, and yes, Plasma goes into astral form, but it's at the wrong moment. You know, those astral changes aren't going to help. You hear Cursed shift walk up ramp, and now it's just down to Cerbersu with this Bucky. Gonna probably try and jump out. The shots are there to pick up Ado. You know, Ado maybe not super happy about that one, but the round does go in favor of Point Park, and that's all you can really ask for.
Absolutely. You know, I'm sure this game does look a little bit hopeless, but the Pioneers are still in this game. And we've seen them from, you know, kind of a low, a pretty hefty disadvantage, be able to at least put some points on the board. I'm not sure what their, you know, kind of lowest score conversion rate has been for a map. Definitely some stats we'd have to look into there. But, you know, we do know that a couple games ago against Converse, a very tough opponent, undefeated in this season, they were down 0-7 and able to put up quite a fight. So I wouldn't, again, like I said, be surprised if we see a couple more rounds on the board, but it's still a very uphill battle. Needs 7 more rounds just to bring it to overtime. And, you know, of course, the last time we saw them in overtime, they were not able to convert that map.
If you're NKU here, you can get a lot of valuable info based off of the Cypher util that Cursed is playing. Right now, there is a trip for B main. Is that supposed to stop the B flank? No, it's actually supposed to stop a flank through mid or through A when the B hit does occur. Because right now, if you're a Viper, you can actually jump over that trip in B main. Now, of course, are they aware of that? Probably not at this round, but they don't need to be aware as IU and ESO are doing their absolute work here, and the ultimate's invested trying to spam out these players, and the shot's going to be there for Creep and Celsi, so they do manage to take down these ults, but have to back off for the Killjoy ultimate, and Celsi goes down as that's happening. So now it's a 3v1 in favor of NKU. The shots have to land for Creep here, and maybe isolating these ones is going to be your best bet here. But swinging out into 3 players is going to be really, really tough, and the knife
And the
kill.
knife to end it from Cerberus has to feel bad, but again, they tried their best, and that's going to be round 1 of this 3-game series, going to be going to Northern Kentucky University.
Right, I mean, Point Park, you've seen this kind of before. It's a slow start. You maybe have your moments, but
Yeah,
I feel like the momentum needs to really be there for them. In order to pick up maybe a match here, they definitely want to get those rounds on the board as soon as possible. And that's really what you have to hope here, especially going into your map pick, which is Bind, which
definitely.
is your do or die here. And for NKU, if you get this map, you have secured your round, you've secured your map, you've secured your win for the season. You're
Hmm.
good. It doesn't matter.
I mean, again, I mean, it's hard to know exactly what went wrong there for the Pioneers or what went right for Northern Kentucky. We haven't seen NKU play. All we know is that they haven't been able to put a round up in the NACE Star League season, and we know that the Pioneers haven't been doing the best on split, and also aren't playing with their typical, stack of 5. So who knows really what went wrong there or right, I guess, if you're an NKU fan, and we'll have to wait for Bind to really see what's going on.
Right? Maybe we can spot some of these similarities that we see between map 1 and 2. But of course, we are going to see Cursed swap over from that Cypher onto the Killjoy,
Hmm.
so that is going to be a little bit different there when it comes to strategies and similarities. Now, I do want to still take a look at this game because as much as Point Park maybe stumbled a little bit, NKU definitely had their moments. I mean, there were players popping off left and right. You had
Hmm.
IU that barely died for the first, I think it was like 7
It was
rounds.
quite a few rounds before we saw. I mean, I think early on we said, "Oh, look, a player to keep an eye out for." IU 10-0 right now, and then stayed pretty solid throughout the remainder of the map.
Right? And also you have players like ISO having those absolutely wonderful clutches with guns that probably shouldn't have gotten as much value as they did.
Exactly.
And I think we're going to be able to see it here as ISO comes out with a beautiful molly kill onto Cursed, and that's what that setup is beautiful there, and lands the shots onto Ado, and does a crap ton of damage to both Creep and Clark while picking up Selzy. I mean, this is almost an ace if you really think about maybe those 2 more shots hitting. So
Hmm.
that's really the Killjoy play that you love to see if you're
You
NKU.
do love to see. Now, if you're a Pioneer fan, you might have been thinking, wow, finally, a pistol round that's winnable for the Pioneers. They have the numbers advantage right here. They got rid of IU, who we said is a player. That could be a win condition, is getting them out, but ISO was right there to clean it up, and that was a beautiful, beautiful round there from ISO.
Hmm.
And you know what? I know we're obviously here with the Pioneers. We go to school here. Ari has the sweatshirt. Ari
Yeah.
played with the team the other
Yep.
day, but I just want to really shout out NKU. I think they were definitely the underdogs coming into
Hmm.
this game, this matchup. But I mean, they proved with this first map that they're a fierce opponent. And if I'm the Pioneers, I'm starting to get worried a little bit for Bond because they lost that. What was it, 12-5, I
Yeah.
believe,
13-5. Yeah.
or 13-5? Excuse
Yeah.
me. Um, Last week against Highlands Community College, and again we talked to how, one, that was the most important game for either team all season, but two, how incredibly close that matchup really was, and they took split 9-13, still losing, but they had more points on the board there. So
Right. I mean, if you have to imagine that if Point Park is still in the running for postseason here, how much more they would be feeling right now
Mhm.
in this moment. If they still secured that last game against
Yeah.
HCC, you are in a position where you're down a
Mhm.
map. You have to win the next two in order to make it to the postseason,
Yeah.
and it's really, really
It is
scary.
scary. Now, again, the Pioneers and NKU do kind of know that their NACE Star League kind of season's over. This is just a play out. But again, remember CVAL starting up this weekend on Saturday.
Hmm.
So certainly, you're not really in the position to be goofing off and throwing maps. And I don't think that's what the Pioneers were doing. Now, again, it's hard without going back and looking at Northern Kentucky's, um, kind of history. But it is surprising to me that they haven't been able to get a series up there, given how they've played today.
Right. I mean, you have to think, is somebody doing absolutely crazy today, or is it a slow start for Point Park? And I do want to mention, I did say that I played with Point Park. I would gladly play with NKU if you guys want to hop in ranked. I'm happy to. I can't play a game for you,
I
obviously,
I'll
but
I'll gladly play
yeah.
unranked with you. A
Well,
couple Swifties,
yeah,
TDM,
some TDMs.
some TDMs,
We can do some spike rush scrims between
Spike
Point
Rush
Park
scrims.
and and NKU, and I'm sure that would be a lovely sight to see if for anybody watching, because it's spike rush.
It's Spike
It's
Rush.
chaos.
It is chaos, and you know what? Kind of going back, I think maybe Spike Rush scrims would be something that would be good for the Pioneers because
True.
Spike Rush is fast and it's lots of utility, and I think what it's
Unpredictability.
unpredictability, and I think on one hand that is where Point Park does shine is when they kind of have these crazy plays. I know. And we were talking about how Sunseri usually does that, but it's not just Sunseri. We've seen that from really all the players on the Point Park Pioneers. Um, and it's that unpredictability and the kind of playing slow that I think sometimes is what costs them rounds. So maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing to get going. But congratulations on this first map to Northern Kentucky University. But before we move on to Bind, is there any last kind of notes you have about Split here?
Well, I do want to bring up the one thing that you said at the beginning, which is ISO, the player that was on Sentinel, happens to have the new name of the new
The new
character.
duelist that's
Character.
coming out, yes.
Are we going to see that role swap to a duelist there?
You know what? I mean, a lot of times, especially when you start getting into these higher levels, or you have an organized team, players are kind of set in their role. Now, we did see last week with Highland Community College, they were not set in their
Oh yeah,
roles at all. They swapped around, and we said that might have cost them, or could that have helped them? We don't know what their roles are.
seemed to work out.
It did seem to work out. They did take that series in the end. Now, ISO on that Killjoy did a phenomenal job. We just saw that replay from Pistol Round using the mollies. And again, ISO is not out yet. We don't know what kind of really abilities and how ISO, the Killjoy player from Northern Kentucky University, would be able to play. But given what I've seen from ISO, I think putting Northern Kentucky University's player ISO on that duelist, I think you'd see some pretty incredible things. So, should they make the decision to have ISO play ISO,
Yeah,
might not be a bad
I
decision.
think that'd be kind of funny.
I
But
think it'd be kind of
this
funny.
this is like Josh Allen versus Josh Allen
Yeah.
in the
Yep.
NFL. You have Josh Allen, the quarterback for the Bills, Josh Allen, the defense of the Jaguars, and I know that was a big game last year, and that was a very fun topic as the casters enjoyed that one and saying Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was the MVP over Josh Allen.
But if ISO played ISO, would that not make it easier? Because we really would just have
I have
to
to
say
say ISO.
ISO.
Yeah, it'd be worse if there's a player named ISO
It would be
and it's
worse if
someone else
let's
playing ISO on
let's
the
say you
team.
put Pyro on the ISO, and of
Ooh,
course we had an ISO on the other side. But you know what? We'll just have to wait for next season to see how that plays out.
that's
But
right.
let's just jump right into Bind now.
Right. I mean, we're talking about a strong suit for Point Park. Not entirely sure for NKU. You can't imagine it's probably the strongest for them as it isn't their map pick, and they haven't secured a series yet. But again, we don't know anything because they have just absolutely dominated on Split so far today. But looking at those comps, you see the same thing that is coming out from Point Park normally. But Ado is the difference today. That
Ito is the difference today. You're right. We do not normally see a Jet on Bind from the Pioneers.
Right, and maybe this will help them. Maybe this will maybe struggle a little bit. We're about to find out, and we're about to see the kind of the safeties that were put in place in case a player like Sunseri isn't available for this game today.
Now, I just kind of want to take a step back. We were, messing around saying, will ISO play a different role and play ISO? But if you look at the team comp coming out from NKU right now, there are some, really some role swaps. We see IU from that Sky on that Duelist, ISO from that KJ on to the Sky, Pyro, who is raised now on Viper. Cerberus was Viper and is now Cypher. So really, the only person really sticking in that same role is Plasma Rick, who is Astra, and now is Brim.
I mean, these games could be used as scrims as well. Obviously,
It could
you do your
definitely.
best to win these games no matter what, because an organized game of Valorant is an organized game of Valorant. But since maybe these teams don't have everything on the line, maybe they're trying out some new comps, trying out some new plays, using it like a scrim. Still trying to win, yes. But maybe trying some new things because maybe they are in CVAL as well as Point Park, and maybe they're trying out some stuff that will hopefully work in the future.
True. I mean, this is definitely the time to use, because this is a little bit more on the line than a typical scrim, for sure. But then again, this is your chance to try. So are they looking at role swaps as we come in to the CVAL season? Do they play different roles on different maps? I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, of course. Now, ISO going to be jump spotting and is going to see the Pioneers there up B long, and is going to kind of step back and wait for the teammates to rotate.
Ooh, that's very interesting. That the wall goes down, and all those players are gonna go down too. But Ada is gonna be the one to get at least 2 right off the back. Clark cleaning up the third, and that site is theirs. IU, and I believe Pyro. Nope, Plasma. Plasma. Both have a tough situation to kind of clean this one up here. Ooh, that Molly. That Molly doing a lot of damage, and maybe the spam will catch Ado here, but he is going to have to tuck, and this is going to be the first place that gets cleared right off the bat. Those shots trying to wallbang IU, not landing quite yet, but it's a close one here and a rough one, and Ado swings out while blind, somehow manages to get one, and now it's down to IU with 1 HP, and Creep's going to be able to pick that one up. That's a pistol round win for Point Park.
That is a pistol round for Point Park, and look at the smiles on their faces. We said Bind is their best map, but that does not mean it's been their best pistol round. Still haven't really seen a lot of pistol rounds on the board from Point Park, and look, you can see Creep there just so excited that they finally got that pistol round on the board, and I think that's going to give them the mentality to put what happened in Split in the past and just move on with this game.
Yeah, I think if this round goes their way, definitely that mentality is behind them. This is a new game, but they just need to focus on getting this round, because you have to imagine if you go down here with the gun advantage here, you're going to be right down in the depths of where you were mentally the first map. So that's why you want to focus on getting this round, getting your momentum for the rest of the game, and hopefully you should be okay here. And Creep finding that first on a Pyro in showers, and that's kind of the typical thing that we see on Bind just in general in all levels of gameplays. There's usually one player that likes to push out in showers and peek.
Yeah.
And they got punished this time, as Creep was aware of it.
They did get punished, and again, NKU on that light bite. That's what you have to do. You have the weaker guns. You have to be more aggressive, and Point Park was ready for that. Has the gun advantage, and it looks like this is going to be, well, I mean, it's hard to say because this is a little bit of a split push. We have some on B and some on A.
Uh-oh, there's 3 players with the shorties in there.
U-Haul, and that feels bad. Now down to Cursed. Pioneers just sort of made the wrong gamble there.
I mean, I don't think necessarily it's about Point Park making the wrong gamble as it is about NKU making the right gamble.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's 3 players in showers. I don't know how you expect that one happening, but Ado's able to pick that final kill up, securing that round. And you can see Ado there a little bit surprised on what that round kind of happened with, but overall happy that the round is theirs. You can see Coach Sam as well, just kind of like, oh,
like what just happened there?
Okay. I think that's definitely one for NKU's socials, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a fun round. Now we're starting to see some fun little buys coming out. Cerberus though does have that judge, which again, is a fun gun,
Oh,
for sure, when it works in your favor.
it's annoying, and that's why I absolutely love it because who doesn't want to play? Who doesn't want to be annoying in Valorant?
I mean,
That's how you get your
you're
content.
certainly right.
That's how you get your content. That's how you get your new plays, and that's how new metas evolve.
New
Really.
metas evolve, and certainly after that U-Haul shorty round, love to see some more shotguns. Are you
Ooh.
gonna be pushing back a little bit as players start to fall and health starts to decline?
Ooh, interesting. Pyro picking up two. Cursed one with the judge, but isn't going to be landing the shots on the final one. Clark managed to lurk all the way to elbow. Not going to be able to secure the fourth kill on the round, but 3 guns down. You have to be happy with how that round kind of went there.
You have to be happy with how that round went there. If you are, of course, a pioneer. And again, if you're a pioneer, you're just still cheesing over the fact that you got your first pistol round on the board and then we're
Woohoo!
able to get the second. This is not normally how the pioneers see the first 3 rounds go.
Hey, Nate, have you ever seen a pistol round win for Point Park this year? That's what I thought. Yep, it's that one right there, baby. They got one on the board, and now it's up to the gun v gun round to decide who really holds the momentum of this entire map. You can see Point Park aware of the shower push, like we mentioned. Usually there's one player peeking, but are they aware of the second? That is the question. And now with this Raze bot coming out, and the Sky Flash looks like it's also going to be coming through. So you can see there the new patch, by the way, that came out. Smokes now have a signal for when they're fading away. 1.5 seconds. They have an audio effect, but trades are there. ISO going to be able to clean up that showers fight, and it's still a 3v3, so it's even matchups right now. Is Creep going to be aware? Oh, this is going to be close timing, and Creep finds it. The gun pulls out just in time, and ISO going to be going down there. The spike is smoked, though, so, there could be a player in there. Point Park could be leaving the bomb. Point Park could be grabbing the bomb, and KU really doesn't know what's happening. If you're Point Park here, I think you try and figure out where one of these players are at least and teleport to the other site, because if you see one on A, chances are there's only one on B, and if you see 2 on A, there's definitely no one on B.
Absolutely. Now, Point Park, like you said, does have that numbers advantage and only needs to know where 2 members are, but time is starting to trick down. Now, Creep, beautiful spray there through the smoke, and Clark going to get that plant down. Now, all down there to Plasma Rick in this 1v3 with the bomb down. Creep has that ultimate as well online, should he choose to use it, but does not need it necessarily in this scenario. And now they know exactly where Plasma Rick is.
Yep, Plasma Rick spotted. Clark probably going to be the one securing this kill here. Cursed going down as he was supposed to take first contact, and now on tap, it's going to be the lineup most likely. No, neither player. Maybe the jiggle from Clark was there for information. And now it's the double swing. Creep's going to be able to secure that one. Well played there. Communication, you can tell, was on point. And Creep's a little happy with that one.
I think Creep's more than a little happy. I think, like we said, Point Park winning that pistol round, I think whatever happened on split is far behind in their brains. And look, they're still kind of riding that high. Of course, did lose that one round, as you would imagine when you're on that lighter round, but a beautiful post plant, had the numbers advantage, did not peek when not necessary, and like you said, I think Clark did have that jiggle peek that did allow them to just kind of have the information that they didn't need.
And now you can see Creep just trying to hold this awareness for I believe it's B long here.
Oh, Plasma Rick there with the Bucky.
The Bucky, not something you really see every day, but certainly something that you love to see if you're a shotgun player, if you're really anybody who likes the shotguns in Valorant.
I think that bind at this map today, and again, like we said, both of these teams, neither of them really have a chance now moving on in the NACE Star League season, but look how many shotguns we've seen already. We're only in the 5th round here.
I mean, bind is a popular map for shotguns.
It is a
hookah.
popular map. Hookah, U-Haul, showers.
Showers, right. I mean, all of these corners where these players can be at with that shotgun, that one-shot capability. I mean, Point Park, they really have to clear their corners here, which is why you can see Celsi flashing pretty much everything, trying to get information of where these players are, and that bird not going to scan anything. So Creep going to be
30 seconds left.
creeping up towards this A site, and is he going to be spotting Plasma Rick before... Oh, Plasma Rick. Yep. Goes down, and Creep finds the ult and the rifle kill. Does get traded out, but Celsi finding that trade as well. It's a 3v2. Both players not on site, so the plant is going to go down.
And especially with that ultimate, definitely going to know where those last two players are. Going to make it easy to use utility and just kind of isolate these fights. Clark looks like waiting here for Cerberus and going to find Cerberus. They know where Pyro is, and they know where Pyro is coming from. 1v3 with the bomb down, and Clark going to find Pyro there. A little Viper v Viper there at the end, and that's another round on the board for Point Park Pioneers.
Clark's feeling a little confident today. I mean,
Clark's feeling very confident, and remember, chat, we're rooting for 2 Clark aces, because you all know what that means. The entire team, minus Clark, has to shave their head. And Ari, I think now that you've scrimmed with them...
Nope. I'm not the starter.
Well, so that's interesting. So if Clark gets 2 aces, is it Ado Smooth or is it Sunseri?
That's a good question.
Who has to shave their head?
That's something that we're gonna find out today as
Clark gets to it.
As Clark gets 2 aces. Right, but it all starts with 1, and either team certainly happy if they get an ace here. NKU, especially with the ults here, definitely want to take the tides for their own on this round, as this is a force for both teams. If NKU does go down this round, it's going to be shambles for their economy.
Definitely going to be shambles, but again, they're hoping it doesn't get to that point. Now, it looks like this is sort of going to be a little bit, again, of a split, and I love that when they do this, they're going together, so hopefully those trades can come out. I think that's something that the Pioneers haven't been able to do every other round, is they kind of go off solo and lose some of these fights, but now it's kind of like a buddy system. I got my buddy, I got my buddy, and my buddy, when we have 3, and it looks like they're going to push up, kind of try to bait everyone over towards that B site, so hopefully they can take the bomb A, and you can see them in the mini-map. They're just kind of going up there, and that is going to be the rotation there. I love, again, Celsi, beautiful flashes, and Clark going to just try to push through that molly and get that pick, but wasn't able to do it in time. But Celsi with the Seekers coming out, they have sight, bomb is going down, and now it's a 3v3, but it is going to be a retake there from NKU.
I'm blind. Cursed manages to get 2, 3, gets the 4th, and Cursed with an absolute amazing clutch from U-Haul. You love to see it.
You love to see it. That was beautiful. And you know who loves to see it even more than us? It's going to be the Pioneers. You can see them all shouting. You can see Creep still kind of talking there. And they're looking so excited. I don't even know if they know what just happened, other than probably typing in the chat right now, skill issue.
Right.
But what a great clutch there. And is that the first clutch we've seen today? I think we might have seen one on split, but like we said on split, a lot of these rounds were very one-sided for either team, and so that was kind of the most fun round, I think, certainly to see all evening. But it looks like, again, this is going to be a pretty heavy B hit, but it looks like NKU had that read. But what's kind of exciting about Bind is this, like, sort of teleporter. And
Clark, clear your quarters, and finds Plasma. Thank gosh. Yeah, I mean, if Clark goes down there, you know, it's not the end of the world, obviously. 4 players on B for NKU, so the retake not exactly super great, especially when you are down guns with the amazing Clark clutch that was last round. And so now you just look to lose as few guns as possible. And excuse me, I meant Cursed, not Clark, but that's okay. This is Clark. Did you know this? This is Clark.
This is Clark right here in U-Haul on that Viper with the Oni.
The Oni.
Selzy gonna find one on Pyro there. And it looks like IU coming right up to Clark. And
Ooh.
U-Haul, but Clark holding it down. And of course, we saw some other shots coming down. Ado, Smooth, Cursed. And that was a pretty clean round there by the Pioneers at the end.
Yeah, I mean, flawless. You
Flawless.
can't ask for more smooth than that.
Flawless.
That's an 8-0 smooth round right there. Okay, that was a rough one.
That was an Ado Smooth move. But right there, we're seeing Clark. And again, remember, we're still hoping for 2 Clark aces. Chat, if you think that Clark can pull out 2 aces today, put a 1 in chat right now. One's in chat.
What happens if like, what if like Cursed gets back-to-back aces? Is it like is that when you have to get Mohawks? We should ask the players, and that we should have like a policy.
If anyone, like, what happens if any player gets 2 aces?
Right. I mean, if it's Sunseri.
If it's Sunseri, they're probably like,
it's normal.
If Sunseri gets 2 aces, then I'm gonna do all my homework tonight.
Right, and I'm assuming that NKU probably have the same logic for IU there as well.
And maybe ISO.
Maybe ISO as well. Yeah. I mean, nobody really knows the ranks of these players because it is collegiate Valorant, so not everybody is Radiant.
That's true. I did see Cerberus with a gold buddy, but remember, I didn't see what season. And remember, this game has been out for a couple years now at this point, and lots of the players have certainly started lower and definitely worked their way up. And I think from both teams, we've seen some incredible plays. And remember that rank doesn't always mean you're the better player, especially when you're on an organized team like this.
Right. As much as your fundamentals and mechanics can help you win a game, it's all about having those plans and those teamwork, that teamwork working together. And you're going to see right here that call is going to be to shift to A. So maybe not necessarily a teleport, and that's what's going to scare NKU, is typically every time you've seen this A hit has been when that TP happens. And ISO doesn't care if he knows that they're coming or not, because ISO is going to be shooting the bullets, and is going to pick up 4 on the round, a flawless in response for NKU. And that's definitely what you would like to see in that scenario.
Absolutely, and I think Pyro might have been listening into us there and wanted to deny ISO that ace just in case, there's some repercussions for them. Maybe Pyro's thinking, I don't want to shave my head.
Yeah, let's see.
I don't know what they look like. Maybe they all already shaved their heads.
True. Maybe they have to grow their hair out.
Oh, that would be... What a twist.
What a twist.
What a twist indeed.
Can you imagine, like, Creep with, like, long locks, like a rocker hair, like 80s rocker? I think that'd be funny.
I think that'd be funny. Of course, might not get to see that come to fruition until the end of the season, but still would be quite funny, especially when you're in the
or Halloween.
growing up. Oh, Halloween. Maybe gets a wig.
Make sure to pop in for the Halloween stream. There's gonna be some fun little doohickeys that go on during the stream.
Doohickeys, yeah, indeed, all around. Looks like Pioneer's not quite on site yet, but doing a little bit of a default here.
Yep, just maybe trying to grab this orb. Typically you've seen NKU with this Cypher on B site, and kind of there's always one rotator back and forth. Now the question is, will this be enough to deter Point Park? Is the call to end A here, or will this B util from Cypher be enough to hold this push off?
Yeah, and I mean, still 40 seconds left in the half, still plenty of time to make either call. But it looks like we are going to be heading over to this B site. But again, teleporters are right there, and the Pioneers do love to take those teleporters. But they're on the A site, a couple of NKU Esports members are still holding down site. It looks like this is now, though, calls coming in for this B hit.
Oh, this is going to be really, really close as the spam's coming out from Server Sue with that judge, and that's just Point Park goes down there. Perfect execution of a defense there. I'd like to call that one shadow defense, where you don't know exactly what's happening, but you can tell that you're in a right position for no matter what happens.
It's certainly in a position for something if you're NKU Esports, beautifully executed. And I loved how patient they were. They had those setups there for defense and didn't need to push it and didn't need to overextend. They had their Cypher setups. They had their holds. And that was kind of a beautiful, beautiful round there for NKU Esports.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Point Park here, I believe they're still on rifles, and you definitely, this is your round where you want to invest your alts. I mean, if you can get this bomb down, you're looking at Clark's ult, and possibly Creep's ult with that Brimstone
Yeah,
stall.
for post plant for sure, or just to kind of clear out an area and get on site. We've seen Creep use that both ways. And of course, if you're able to kind of get some down there, you have Cursed with that neural theft online.
I mean,
That's really beneficial in
yeah.
kind of sussing out where are the last remaining opponents. So lots of fun things they can do, but looks like again, like we said, that teleporter play that they love to do, and kind of, maybe they're struggling to find that 8-0
Ooh.
Celsi kind of vibe, but picks are going to be coming in. Beautiful, those shots there. Now coming in from Curse and Creep in what was kind of a numbers disadvantage is now a 2v2.
Right. I mean, this teleport, is it going to be in time? Is this Cypher going to be able to get up in time? And yes, spam is there. And Cerberus finds Curse, and that's big because now it's up to Creep with 1 HP, and Creep goes down. Now you're kind of seeing the reverse of Point Park Converse. You know, maybe the down 7-0, down 6-1. Maybe it's coming back to bite them. Maybe the ghost of Converse lives in NKU.
Yeah, I think Pioneers were so confident coming into this game, and we definitely saw that come to fruition. But now it might be that, like, a little bit of that overconfidence and just kind of playing right into NKU, who have had some beautiful setups. I definitely want to give props to them. And look, I mean, I love, yes, Cypher, this on Cerberus on Cypher does like to play on this B site, but certainly changes up their locations and doesn't play the same setup every time, and that's what you love to see. But it looks like it doesn't matter. It's not going to be a B hit. It is now going to be an A hit.
I like this change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
Although NKU is aware that, you know, the stack is there, I do like Point Park's chances to secure this round, as that is a very, very big pick for both teams, really. But Clark going to be able to grab that gun most likely, and Point Park should be able to protect this bomb going down, but now it's just down to Clark. Now it's a little bit scuffed as this Sheriff has to land its shots and can't get spammed out, and Cerberus with the Odin in a Viper ult typically is going to do a lot.
Is going to do a lot. Now that was a little bit unfortunate there for the Pioneers because they did get Pyro out pretty early, who of course is that other Viper you see on the side of NKU Esports, and we did see that double Vipers ult, which is always fun. But when you get your enemy Viper out, you think, okay, now my chances are a lot better. But unfortunately, it's hard, and Creep there at the end was not able to pick up a better gun.
You know, I think Point Park here, I think, I mean, I wanted to call this before I saw the map, but I think there's going to be a Viper wall up B, and I think there's going to be a pop flash through this Viper wall. Yep. This is a Point Park specialty, and that's the one I was thinking of. Now the question is, do they get to turn off, or, you know, the call might be to do this pop flash play, but of course, if there's a result or something from IU, you definitely don't want to pop flash in.
You don't want to pop flash in, but IU, like you said, does have that Raze ultimate on line and is going to be already on that B site, and IU just holding out and is going to throw a nade. Doesn't quite invest that ultimate yet. Cerberus spraying through the smoke and is going to find two before Cursed is able to trade them out. Ooh. And IU did get a pick with the Boombot before falling to Clark. It is now all down there to Creep. But we've seen Creep in 1v3s before.
We have. I mean, Util is still there for Creep. The bomb is kind of in a rough position for him. So chances are if a smoke is going out, it is going to be on this elbow here. And dodging the flash, doesn't get blinded, doesn't get scanned, spots ISO. So there is a possibility that he picks up ISO here, finds the jiggle, finds the contact, and now it's all of those players going for that 3v1 swing, that triple swing that you do love. And ooh, that Viper wall cuts him off almost perfectly, as that smoke is going to be going down on... Oh, interesting. I like the smoke placement, but Pyro kind of doing a little bit of a disrespect on that smoke and swinging right around it, securing the round for NKU. 6-6 half, though. Point Park, that's the best half you've had today, so you're going to certainly take that.
Certainly going to take that. NKU already up more points than Pioneers were able to get last map. Now It is 6-6 at the half, but since this was Pioneers map pick, NKU did choose sides. So hopefully, if you're a Pioneers fan, you're thinking, okay, well, now it's our turn on our better side if all things are considered. Um, I mean, we have seen the Pioneers. Um, it's hard to say what I think their dominant half is on Bind because I think it's always their second half of the game.
Yeah. I mean, usually, we say it's either defense or attack, and most times it's defense, but sometimes it's just what happens second.
hmm and I think, and not just necessarily for Bind, but I think it's hard to say when we talk about Pioneers kind of struggling and getting that fatigue, but I think they're second half players often, not all the time. Um, but just interesting. Now this is going to be the first pistol round of the half, and Curse going to find that first blood before getting traded out. And remember, Pioneers got that first pistol round last time, and they're going to be looking to do that again here on the second half.
I mean, Point Park here, if you love if you get this pistol round here because that hopefully puts you up 2 rounds, and that's a buffer that you would love to have going into the second half. And hopefully the retake is there for them, but the trades are in favor of NKU. The Cage going to be doing a beautiful job of blocking up this elbow pressure. Now the triple swing there, most likely going to take down Clark, but no, Clark finds the first one, and this second one is 1 HP, so now the swing coming out, just doesn't know from which player, gets the shot onto the Cypher, and now it's very, very winnable, but Clark not aware of ISO to his left, and that's going to be the lead for the first time, I believe, this game
It is.
for NKU.
It's going to be the lead for the first time this game, and not too surprising for the Pioneers that it comes on that pistol round. Very close pistol round from them. Again, they struggle on that pistol round. I don't think that was an instance of them struggling. I think pistol rounds are fast, and NKU just kind of had a better read there at the end, but definitely a very close pistol round. Looks like not going to elect to force up this time. We're going to see a couple of frenzies maybe come out. Are they going to buy it? Won't they? It looks like just one there at the end.
I mean, ooh, they push up, and we've seen this one before as the trades come out, and all this, it's just down to Ado. Ado does have a gun and the spike control, but it's a 1v2, and with very, very low HP, and his positioning known. So it's pretty rough, but there is a chance.
It's pretty rough, but there is a chance, and already on that save, able to get 3 off. That was a fast start to the second pistol round. Ado Smooth, 24 HP. Plant is going to go down to now. Ado Smooth is going to know that they're not here on this B site and is going to have to 1v2 if Ado Smooth is able to isolate and land shots with the Bulldog. Ado Smooth has a chance.
Is there a possibility that the call is to save here? I mean, one bullet, yes, you're on an eco.
I probably would make the call to save here because I think a Bulldog is a good gun to bring into that next half.
And yeah, maybe it would have been, but who knows? Maybe he'll do better with a Vandal next round.
I mean, that's true. That Vandal is coming in. I think that was a tough retake. Nice try there by Ado Smooth. I mean, great damage done. That was so incredibly fast. It was just boom, boom, boom. Players dropping like flies. Ado Smooth with a lot of damage there, put in that 1v2. And did have the bomb site, but that's kind of hard when you're in a 1v2 scenario with such low HP. You kind of have to give it up and hope they go to the site that you walked over to, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for Point Park. And I talk about the swing rounds a lot, and this is one of those swing rounds. You have to win this round, otherwise your chances are looking very, very low. Still doable, but just a lot tougher than they would be if you secure this round.
Certainly. Now, Ari, I have to ask you, do you think that NKU is just having an incredible game or a couple maps, or do you think that the Pioneers maybe overlooked their opponents?
I mean, I do think that NKU is having a monster of a day, but I don't think Point Park maybe underestimated them. I think maybe just the vibes might be a little bit off today. Not entirely sure what it is. It might just be something, as simple as either Sunsary not being here, or it's just maybe because they're like the game isn't on the line in terms of postseason, maybe that motivation isn't there. But Clark seems to still have motivation as he finds the first one, but does get traded out. And ISO doing an absolutely wonderful job of picking up 2 here with a ghost. So that is something really, really big here. And, Ado's only on this Marshall here. So it's going to be a lot. Oh, sorry, the operator. My apologies. I'm blind. And apparently so is the enemy team, as Celsi is going to be able to get that pick onto Cerberus. And Bomb being down. Ooh, Pyro. The dash comes in, and Pyro secures the third. A clutch. Ado maybe taking that one maybe just a tad too fast, but that's
I saw
rough.
the vision.
Yes, I thought Ado had that one.
Me too, but I think just the time it took to take out the gun, and Pyro was ready there.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a little heartbreaking. That was very winnable for the Pioneers, but great job at the end there, by NKU. Now I kind of want to go back to what you were saying last half, is maybe because both teams are out, the desperation isn't there, especially from the Pioneers. But I think NKU certainly still does have that desperation because, like we said, they've yet to put a round on the board this entire season, and they certainly don't want to have a 0-win season mentally as you move into CVAL.
Right. I mean, who knows if they're exactly in CVAL. Ooh,
right.
Boombot's gonna clear out Clark. No, but the flash is there, and the neural theft definitely is. But Clark managing to get one, as I believe it was Creep. Yep, Creep going down on long with that Marshall. Celsi with a Marshall to his own name. Oh, finds a shot through the smoke.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Celsi. Why don't I have RNG like that?
Yeah, I mean, that was 100% skill.
What that was skill. That was skill.
No luck involved.
No luck. All skill. I guess it's just a skill issue for me, but definitely not an issue there for Celsi. Going to help them get on point, and Ado Smooth is going to be able to find one with the knives before going down to IU, who's able to clean up that round, and that's another round on the board for NKU and the Pioneers. When you're looking at this, I mean, really, really have been struggling here.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to take this next round. The full invest was there on the bonus run for NKU, and that was converted for NKU, which means Point Park has to go broke, and now they're on kind of their last full buy round if they don't win this one.
I mean, Point Park has let 4 rounds go this half, hasn't put on a single point since last half, and really they had such a dominant start, but have really struggled to put a point on the board since. I think NKU is just starting to read into that. But Ado Smooth with the operator going to find a collat there on Pyro.
Yeah, that wallbang is certainly something you love to see, especially in a round as desperate as this one. Spotting the dog, the pixel peak, not going to convert on anything just quite yet, as a player is not pushed up with said dog, but the ults, one apiece. NKU probably looking to get a free pick with this, Raze ult. I say free pick, but it's always a gamble. When you double satchel in, pop that showstopper, anything can happen. You can hit the Rosa ult, you can waste it on a dead body, you can accidentally harm yourself with that one. So it's really a big gamble committing to a play such as that one. But it looks like the call is going to be to go on A here. There's going to be 3 in showers. So, personally, I'm not a big fan of showers. I know it's very, very important to secure that showers control. So it's going to be interesting to see how they address Celsi on this box here. And are they aware of how close he is to them at the moment?
I don't know, because they're going to start to clear. Celsi's going to find one, but ISO's going to trade Celsi right out. It's still a 4v2 now. Spike Planner's killed, only 10 seconds on the board. Point Park in that numbers advantage, going to be very hard for NKU Esports. But they are going to find 2 there now. It's a 2v2, but of course not enough time to plant, and that's going to be a point on the board for Point Park Pioneers. That is a mouthful. And Clark going to find one, almost finds that last player there, but doesn't at the end. And that's a gun offline at the very least. You'll love to see that if you're the Pioneers, but that got a little bit dicey there at the end when they were in that 4v2 and suddenly down to a 2v2.
But here's the thing. With the 4 rounds straight that NKU has won, they are going to be able to force up here, buy themselves another set of guns, and afford maybe a round where Point Park doesn't have the guns that they want. They don't have those full shields. They don't have those Vandals that they do desire. And so you're going to have to see ults being invested like that Viper's Pit from Clark.
But certainly also they don't have the guns they want, but they still do have Ados move there with that operator.
Right. I mean, Ados move with the operator. I didn't think I would, maybe enjoy it as Sunseri with the showstopper double satcheling in, but I'm quite enjoying it, and I think it's a nice little substitution for that dopamine that I desire.
And I think Jet is a really fun pick, and I love Ados move on this Jet here. I think Ados move was just struggling to kind of find that kind of foothold there on split on that raise, but I think Ados move certainly shines here, and hopefully given the chance can do a little bit more for the Point Park Pioneers, as it looks like NKU is starting to get here on site. Kurt's gonna find one through the smoke, and Creep finding another 5v3 now. But Cerberus just gonna run in there, and ISO of course one as well. Now back to 3v3, and now it looks like it's going to be a retake as Cerberus is going to start this plant.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Clark obviously going to be rotating B long here, so he's going to want to speed up the Slurk, because as soon as that Viper's Pit goes down is when they're aware that Clark is not
in that pit
anymore, and so he's going to be, chances are, around long. Of course, the meta play in hindsight that we know that the players don't is maybe he baits them and just stays outside of the pit in hookah, but this Viper Pit on the side of NKU is going to be more than enough to clean up the remainder of Point Park's players and secure the round for them. And now I believe it's Point Park who are the ones that are broke on this round.
Yeah, I think that was a nice counter Viper ult there by Pyro. Very hard to deal with. And again, I agree with you. If you're going to step out and not have that swift rotate, maybe the meta play is to stay in hookah. But again, it doesn't really matter if NKU is going to be staying there in their ultimate, and you're just going to have to kind of rush it. And unfortunately for the Pioneers, not able to convert that, they're now down 7-11. Only 4 points. Still doable, but if NKU reaches another one, they're a match point.
Right, and then at that point, you have to win 5 straight, then you have to secure the overtime. Selzy, though, with a nice pick onto IU. I believe there was a smoke there that was kind of hindering the site, and ISO going to be able to get one in response, but, the health advantage in favor of Point Park. That Skye is on 1 HP, so any little classic bullet, doesn't matter if it's a Vandal, any one singular bullet will be enough. Even if it's the dog! Let's see if the dog can maybe get one. And not quite going to be securing that kill, but Cursed will find it through the wall. Clark trying to get some mollies out into U-Haul, and now Creep pushing in U-Haul with this Marshall here. Not exactly going to be best done.
Oh, they're going to see that, but Creep going to be able to turn out, gets 2 there. And now all down to Plasma Rick, who finds one, but doesn't find another. Selzy with that Marshall, cleaning up the round, and Clark with the defuse is going to put a Thrifty on the board for Point Park. It is now 8-11, only down by 3.
That's actually really, really funny, because what Creep did there, picked up the gun. We call that the gun flash in Valorant, and what that means is you drop your gun, they look at the gun because they think it's you, and they're like, wait, that's not you. And you swing them, and all of a sudden, their bullets land in your face. And it's very fun to convert one, but it's not when you gun flash and you accidentally drop your rifle and then swing out and don't have a gun. That might happen a lot.
Well, luckily it does not happen to the Pioneers here on Bind today. Selzy with that flash looking for information there, but isn't going to find anything as there's no NKU players there on that A site. Trying to make this a B hit, but Clark has a good positioning, going to find one, and almost gets caught, but doesn't. That would have been very, very, very devastating. But knows now that there's one more. It's 5v3. Pyro inching up long. Isn't going to spot a player and is now going to go right into Ados Smooth, who only has 30 HP, but is still going to find that pick there on Pyro. 5v2.
I
I
feel
don't want
like
to say
Point Park
anything.
can see the light. I feel like
I think they can see the light right now. Look, their faces very concentrated, but still look how calm and cool and collected. And I certainly don't look as calm as them when I'm in situations like this. Maybe that's why I'm up here, not on the team.
and maybe it's because Caleb is there in the camera watching
It
behind,
might be
the
Caleb
players.
Buff.
Caleb Buff, the good luck charm, one of our favorite crew members here on the analyst desk, the caster's desk, and Creep certainly must be feeling the Caleb buff as Creep finds one, and now it's a 5v1 NKU in a tough situation, and Ado going to be converting the third and a flawless round for Point Park.
That is very reminiscent, I think, of last week. The ending there on Bind for the Pioneers when they played against Highlands Community College. And of course, Sunseri was there with that operator, knew exactly where the last player was and had a beautiful flick. But doesn't matter if Sunseri would have missed that shot because there were
A few
an
more
entire
rounds.
team,
Yeah.
behind them, and then a few more rounds. But now Pioneers only down by 2 points. IU going to have to be pulling out that shorty, so maybe we'll see that showstopper that is online. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, the showstopper has been on a line, I believe, for a few rounds, but the question is it going to be put to
Well, I think it
use?
might because IU doesn't have a gun here, so might
Oh,
be
you are definitely
attempting to
right.
use that showstopper to get a kill and pick up a gun.
Ooh, the Brimstone ult.
Lots of ultimates there, and we are seeing that showstopper coming out in tandem there from the NKU, but looks like Pioneer's just waiting for that retake together, and that does mean now that that Brimstone ultimate not online for post plant.
That's right.
But certainly might sell mollies, so definitely have to watch out. And again, you could
Ooh.
beautifully see those new smokes with the little
Particles?
particles
Sure.
to let you know when they're down. But before we get into that, lots of shots coming out, most of them on the side of the Pioneers, all down now
Wow.
to ISO, and Ado Smooth is going to finish that out. It's 10-11, and that's going to put NKU on a tight bye as we go into this next next round, which really could tie up the score if the Pioneers are able to win this next one.
Right. I mean, I love a close game,
I love a close game.
but you know what I don't like?
What don't you like?
A fake comeback. So, I know I'm supposed to be unbiased, but I love to see a comeback kind of converted. We see kind of a double comeback here, really. NKU
Yeah.
came back, and then Point Park is coming back now. So I guess I don't know which team it would be the fake comeback for.
I don't know, and of course I again don't want to be biased. I know I am selfishly rooting for the Pioneers because I'm here, and also that means we get to go to map 3.
That's
but I
true.
don't know which team I would root for in a game like this because each team kind of inching their way closer and closer as we get to the match point, and dare I say it, this could be an overtime game.
That's right, and I do love an overtime.
I do love an overtime.
But ISO determined not to
IU.
bring it there. And IU also finding one, so now 3v2 in favor of NKU. Point Park definitely is desperate to win this round, but if all else fails, there are still a few more rounds, so maybe you do want to save this Cypher ult. Save it for the round where you know that you desperately need it a lot more.
But then again, if you invest it here in a 2v3, could it help isolate some of these fights and bring it to 11-11?
That's exactly right, but
1, 2,
oh,
but not 3. And that's going to bring it to match point here for NKU. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful try. And you can see the look on his face. Just wasn't able to do it. But great shots, great try. And there's still a couple rounds in. Only two rounds that Pioneers need to win to bring it to match point. And we can see Kayla behind with the camera. Does that mean the Kayla buff has been activated for this round? What do you think, Ari?
I will tell you after this round's over.
Okay.
'Cause
Hindsight.
then I can't be wrong.
Yeah, that's true. Very, very true. Well, it looks like we are going to have rifles there for both sides. Of course, better shields there for the Pioneers as they look, and maybe that desperation buff has been activated. It's within their sightlines. This is their favorite map. But again, remember, NKU has not won a single game all season long, and if they can finish this round right here, they're going to get their first win on the board for that NACE Star League season right at the very end. and definitely something that they want oh so badly. They've been fighting all season for this, but Pioneers do not want to let them have that victory.
That's right. And with something kind of like these particular combination of alts, Point Park is going to most likely want to use this Viper alt on A for maybe a retake or something along those lines. Because if you can get that smoke down, you have to force NKU to be pushing you here. And NKU really doesn't want to have to do that. And so you're going to see kind of the creep up there, and the bomb does get tapped. Curse finding the first onto Pyro, and that is a very, very big pick, as that's going to allow Curse to find a second one with the neural theft, and now Clark getting in on the action and finding one of his own. And the spam is there. Curse finding a third. Can he find a fourth? Not quite, but
that's okay, because Creep can, and Celsi's going to come with the defuse and a nearly flawless round. Of course, Curse falling, but not before finding 3 and definitely giving the information to the rest of his teammates. It is now 12-11, and I believe we'll have to see when that comes up, but I think it's going to be a tight buy for NKU.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, a force to try and maybe get this equality going out here. And yeah, you're seeing Spectres here. That's rough.
And look, we got a Guardian. We have another shotgun. Now remember, everyone's trying to force up as much as they can because this is the last round no matter what. Either NKU takes the victory here or it's brought into overtime where credits reset.
That's right. And by the way, I think the Caleb buff activated.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Something tells me. Maybe
Well,
the victory screen?
You heard it here first. Ari said Caleb buff was activated last round.
Yep.
So I guess that means Point Park probably got around last round on the board.
Yeah, and I believe one more this round, as well as Clark has that beautiful hookah control, which we have seen before using this Viper's Pit. We have seen the same kind of hit from NKU. We've seen the exact same play. It was based on Cursed hitting these shots here through the smoke, but it's going to be Clark getting the first one. So now there are these players coming in from hookah, and the numbers go in favor of NKU. That neural theft going to be big information, as it's going to allow this kind of stall for NKU here. And one is spotted. Creep finds one onto Cerberus, and that is the spot there. The dash onto site. No
that
contest
dash was huge
there.
because was not able to check.
Creep finding a second one, I believe. A third one for Creep. Can he find the fourth to secure the round? Yes, he can. Wow. That is something that you absolutely love to see. And an ult of celebration in overtime happiness.
It is, and look at the smiles on those faces, and look, the buff in the back smiling as well.
Buff in the back.
Caleb buff in the back. Now, again, they had time to celebrate right there for a little bit, but it's back to game time. Last time they were in overtime, they were not able to win in the end.
That's right. I think it all starts with taking this first one.
It does.
I think even if they win this 25th round here, even if they lose the 26th, I think they still take the refresh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now remember, though, last week again, it was the second map that went to overtime and they were not able to do it. Now, this is their map pick. They should be able to do it, but NKU, tough opponents. And I'm thinking, if I'm a Pioneer fan, I'm wondering, okay, they put up this much of a fight on Bind. What would that map 3 Ascent even look like for the Pioneers?
Ado almost getting the initial pick, but that's going to be an entry right off the bat, and it might be a hard hit to A, but ISO finding the first pick on a Celsi, and there go all of Point Park's flashes. It is just smoke after smoke. You have Jet smokes, you have Viper smokes, you have Brim smokes, and I mentioned Jet smokes. Yeah, you don't have those anymore. As Ado's move going down, spotted Pyro, but getting the pick onto Clark first. Creep finding one, but there's only so much you can do if you're a Creep here. The tap goes down, and it's starting to be a stick, as that bomb is already halfway. Somebody needs to make a move, and the crossfire out. Pyro going to be able to secure the third IU with one of his own, and yeah, that first round goes in favor of NKU there.
A nice try by the Pioneers, but just got kind of dicey at the end when you had that numbers disadvantage. Bomb was halved, and it's hard because when do you push? They're sticking. do you let them get to half? But then again, had he pushed then,
Right.
a similar thing would have happened. So there's no right or wrong way to do that.
I mean, the key there is keeping Celsi alive for
The
those
key there
flashes.
is keeping Celsi alive, and unfortunately, was not something that was able to be done that round. But again, now Pioneer's back in that sort of desperation. And remember, this is their map pick, and oh boy, do they want this so badly. Back on defense here.
Oh, that's full blinding
That's
4 players.
that's a full blind for lots of NKU players there, but they're still gonna creep their way up that B long.
Yeah, I mean, that's a popular flash that you see from these guys on defense. So that's a typical thing, and you see Curse sneaking into the corner, and is going to be finding the first few, and it's just down to Cerbersu in a 4v1 situation. That move by Curse, absolutely wonderful, and he's able to secure 3 on that round. Wow.
And I mean, I think you called it. Even if they lose the first one, they're gonna win the next one, and now we're back to our second round of overtime.
Yeah, I mean, second OT, typically there's a little bit longer of a break here in a VCT match, but these teams don't have that time to really think about it. It's just fast-paced Valorant, do or die. Get in there and plant that spike, get those kills.
Now, what kind of calls do you think are coming in from either side right now, Ari?
I think you're going to have this, I mean, you see the typical Cypher on B setup, which is pretty normal. I think, yep, there's going to be 3 on A, and it's going to be kind of just playing off contact. It's going to be an insta-rotate wherever you see that first kind of player go out, and you can see, yep, Brim's already starting to head over. But if you're Point Park, you've known that you've maybe forced a few engagements that you maybe shouldn't have this game so far, and so I like the play to back off, but of course, the Brimstone aware that, yeah, if they're backing off, I'm going to back off too. And I'm going to go back to my site on B with my Cypher.
Absolutely. Again, a minute left before bomb needs to go down. No picks yet on the board. Still a 5v5 in anyone's game, but we are seeing that utility coming out a little bit. And remember that not everyone's utility is able to be gained back. And now, of course, Creep getting kind of spotted there by Cypher and going to go through teleporter before bringing out some smokes. It looks like in that dog out from Celsi. I think Celsi has that dog in him for sure. And certainly Sky does as well. Picks coming out. ISO, Creep, 4v4.
Wow, I mean, ISO still having the game of their life right now. And Clark's going to be able to cancel the plant and get one, but now before getting traded out, time funneling a little bit short here. Is Clark going to be able to get this bomb down? Most likely so, but you know this Cypher.
That's a really, and they saw that Cypher, but Clark, of course, has to try to get that bomb down. And even though it's a 2v2, the health is just not in favor of Point Park. Curse going to be looking there, but isn't going to be able to do anything. IU's going to pick up Curse and then is going to get that defuse off. Now, that was very, very close, but again, not close enough. NKU just kind of playing around there at the end as they know we're going to switch halves in this overtime. But
I wonder if Clark was aware if he has his ult there.
I don't know. I mean, I think it was just maybe or maybe not. But I'm sure if Clark wasn't, you know, of course the rest of the teammate and certainly, you know, IGL's offline and is watching could probably call that out. But they knew that Cerbersu and that Cypher was already out and probably already wrapping, and they knew they had to get that plant down and couldn't even engage with the Cypher. So probably trying to get the Cypher before bringing that ultimate out and just wasn't able to do that. And it's hard when you're down that HP.
Right. I mean, you know, ideally your teammate's there to help you out, but, you know, if you're scared of the second player, you know, you can't focus all of your forces on just one player because you don't know where that those players could be.
Exactly. Now it looks like we are gonna be seeing NKU make their way through Hookah.
And Cerberus getting that initial pick, but the trades are there in favor of NKU. Numbers in 4 versus 2. Both players coming through CT, and now it looks like this post-plant setup is going to be very, very strong from NKU. You have Viper Mollies from the back. You have the trip. Cursed finding one, though, so that is big if you want to kind of find that initial pick, which that is there. And now I feel like the turning point of this round is going to be Cerberus. Can Cerberus get any value through this cage?
Just unfortunate mollies there coming through from Clark, and Curse going to have that
Ooh.
ultimate come out, but it doesn't matter. It's going to get spotted out by Cerber Sue. That is going to be game, and unfortunately for the Pioneers, that is going to be series.
But very fortunately for
Very, very
NKU, they
fortunately,
secure their first.
they secured their first win.
Right. I mean, hats off to you.
Cypher hat off.
It's like,
We saw lots of
where are they? Right.
give me a corpse. Give me
Yeah.
a corpse.
Halloween.
Halloween idea for anyone out there if you want to be
True.
Cypher. GLHF. Um, but certainly, GG's and congrats to Northern Kentucky University. The season may be over, but that doesn't mean you should not be proud and feel very happy with your first win, and unfortunately last of the season. But we haven't seen Northern Kentucky University play, but I can't imagine why they weren't able to get any more because I saw some great things from
Yeah.
them today.
I mean, especially, you talk about NKU playing really, really well today. Point Park maybe not playing to their norm, as Ado did come in today and sub, but I think Ado did a very, very nice job, especially on map 2.
Beautiful job, especially on that bind. I love that jet pick, and I know that's not what we normally see on bind there from the Pioneers. And yes, bind is their best map, but I don't think that's necessarily because Ado Smooth wasn't able to find any sort of impact there. I think it was just, maybe that synergy isn't there. I don't know how often they've gone to play as a stack of 5. I know you mentioned you subbed in, so certainly that's another practice. They're not playing with the 5 that were there today. And but I do think we saw some good things from the Pioneers. Again, 2 close teams again. Unfortunately, Pioneers not able to bring it to that map 3. But really, I just want to say congratulations to Northern Kentucky University. I saw some great things, and I really wish you luck as you move forward into whatever season you're going into. But yeah, great plays.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Point Park, your season, we talked about, is over. The NACE season is pretty much over for both of these teams. No postseason there. However, CVAL is starting up. That is Collegiate Valorant,
Yes, it
sponsored
is.
by Riot Games themselves, organized by Riot Games.
Mhm.
So this is kind of the big collegiate esports Valorant, whatever you want to call it.
It is. And if you are a Pioneer fan, you've seen them in Redbull Campus Clutch. Again, Pioneers are sponsored by Redbull, so you saw them play there. You saw them play in NACE Star League, so we really
That's right.
hope you come back and really cheer on the Pioneers in CVAL. Again, that's right. Ari, it is starting this Saturday. And remember, we do have a League of Legends.
That's
That
right.
season started up last week.
Yep, and a game
And there
tomorrow.
is a game tomorrow at, I believe, 8:30.
8:30.
So you definitely don't want to miss this. They are playing Akron University tomorrow.
Huh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So very, very exciting. Uh, League of Legends, the Pioneer League of Legends team are playing in the NACE League, and they play on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
That's a lot of games.
that's a lot of games. So definitely make sure you check them out.
Caleb, why did the buff run out? Why did the buff run out for Point Park? Caleb doesn't know.
Caleb doesn't know. Uh, Caleb buff activated maybe a little bit too late, but thank you, Caleb, definitely for being part of our content team. And thank you, Nate, our wonderful, wonderful producer. Thank you to our observers. Thank you to all of our content team, clipping, taking notes, stats, just really paying attention to the game. Just because the season's over doesn't mean the rest of the team isn't working hard. Like we said, CVAL coming up, League of Legends tomorrow. Make sure you follow us on socials for more behind the scenes content, updates on games, maybe you miss it, and make sure you check out YouTube. We have recaps of every match that will be put up there. So definitely don't want to mix that up. Ari actually does those, so you don't.
I do those.
Ari does those, so you don't want to miss those.
That's right.
But congratulations again to Northern Kentucky University and to the Pioneers for a great season from both teams. And we will see you in the next league.
Have a good one, everyone.
Have a good one. Come back tomorrow for League of Legends.